Welcome to Bay Rats and Buoys with your host, Captain Gage.
What is up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Bay Rats and Buoys. I'm your host, Captain Gage, and it is Thanksgiving Day, November 28th, so happy Thanksgiving to everybody. I can't believe I am not sitting on my boat. This is so disappointing. Anyway, we got 8 episodes in on the boat. I did tell you that was my goal, to do as many as I can, and here I am, Thanksgiving Day, and I'm giving it to you from Captain's Quarters here, a little area that I work in to get some work done and some editing when I'm not in the studio. So we are going to be doing most of them from the studio, but I wanted to prove that, if I have to do it from here, I could do it from home. So it's nice and easy. Nice, easy little setup, and I appreciate you guys tuning in to episode number 9, and this season, the 2024 season, is coming to a close, but it is not done yet, and we plan on finishing out strong. So we got 11 days until TOG season ends here for the Long Island Sound region. The New York Bight region, you guys are on December 22nd. And striped bass is December 15th. So it's all coming to a close. Before Christmas, it's all over and done. And a lot of my buddies and a lot of the posts on Facebook of friends of mine and colleagues and other captains all posting pictures of their boats coming out of the water, and they're on the stands, they're getting wrapped, and it's just that time of the year. It's a disappointing time of the year for sure, for all of us that are as passionate about boating and fishing as I am. I feel your pain. I really do. And it was December 16th last year that I winterized the engine. That's when I, did the lower gear oil and the fuel stabilizer and the fuel filters and a few of the anodes. We changed that stuff now in the wintertime. We power wash the bottom and get the bottom all clean and ready, and then we wrap it. And I don't bottom paint it until the springtime. So I like it's a little warmer out. It gets 50 degrees, end of March there. I think I unwrapped it March 30th of this year, and it was in the water April 7th. So I have a captain's log. I know all the dates. I know exactly what I did. I know when I tuned it. I know all the things that I did to the boat. And, to me, that's important, keeping records of everything and knowing what I have to look forward to and what needs to be done. And it becomes repetitious. Over the years, you kind of know what you got to do. It's a simple little process. It's not a big deal. And we get it done. And that's it. And then the countdown begins. The minute the boat is on the trailer, on the side of the house, the countdown begins to April 15th. That's it. I think it's 139 days or 138 days from now until April 15th. So the countdown is, I got calendars on the wall here, and the countdown is real. That is for sure. And we're already looking forward to the 2025 season. However, before we get into the 2025 season, we still got to finish out the 2024 season. So the black fishing, the striped bass, and the squid fishing in the harbor right now is real good. So that water temperature dropped. The squid are here. The seals are in the water. There's still fish. There's still birds. And the TOG fishing goes until the 9th. And if you want to get out there and do any of that, we're not going to see too many more days that are going to be mid-40s. So I don't think we're going to get too many 45-degree days left. I think after Friday, every night is below freezing. And that's when you really got to take into consideration when you leave in the morning. If you go out at 7, 8 a.m., it's going to be 29 degrees. Could be 30 degrees, And at 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, it's not, you'd be lucky if you get into the 40s. And I know during the wintertime, fly fishing for me, if it's 43, 44, that's like the perfect temperature for me to put on my waders and get into the river. If it's 29, 30 degrees and my guides are going to freeze up with ice in them, to me, that's no fun. So I wait till the 40-degree days to get out there. And I'm more of a shorts and a t-shirt guy, to be honest with you, at the warm weather. I was cold on episode 8 on my boat last week, and I probably should have put the sweatshirt on. But I was a trooper. The sun was out, and let me tell you something. That was a brisk breeze, and as soon as that sun went down, you had to put a sweatshirt and hat on for sure. It was cold. And I'm extremely happy to be sitting in a comfortable environment with no wind, no seagulls, no boats blowing. I don't have to worry about Christian waking my boat right now like he did last week. I'm rocking around in the marina. He's laughing on Facebook saying, I didn't even know I was throwing a wake, and it's just how it is this time of the year. So, everybody's winterizing the boats here on the Northeast, and the season is coming to a close. And I know you guys on the South Shore, the bass is still, blowing up all over the beaches, and it's still good. And it's great to see. It's really great to see this fall run, such an epic run this year. And kind of makes us feel good, about the fishery and what we got going on. I haven't seen this many schoolies in a long time, and it really is good to see. So I hear both sides of the spectrum where, they're shutting it down. They're going to change the regulations. You can hear both sides and kind of reason with one. It's kind of like the sports book wants to get the number right in the middle there, so half the people bet one side and the other half bets the other side. And I get that. I do. And I just got it's out of my control. So it's just something I could sit back, I could throw my 2 cents in and, my opinion and tag the fish and do what I could do to help the fishery. But at the end of the day, ultimately, it's not my decision. But I'd like to know I have some say in the matter to help grow the fishery and make it that my kids can catch striped bass and their kids can catch striped bass, and we have a sustained fishery here. Where I know in other countries, they do not have sustained fisheries because of no regulations and things to that nature. So let's see how it plays out. Right now, I say we have a good fall run. Epic from Montauk to Fire Island to the North Shore. It's been a great season. It started on April 15th with over slots and keeper bass. And we knew we were in for a good year. I was leaving. I was going to head west because a lot of times I start the season a little west because they're coming out of Raritan Bay, and you just head west, whether it be Hempstead Harbor or just west of us. And we always got on the bass. Always. We never had an issue every spring getting on the bass. This year, I did not have to go west. They were here in my area. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 12 minutes from my dock. And that was epic. That gave Jason and his family a great treat on April 15th. And, that's something, again, we'll do this year is, a preseason, break for booking early, do a preseason booking. And if you book in the wintertime for April 15th through June 15th, there'll be a discount and stuff like that. Just some incentives in there for people to want to get out early. And that was the busiest time of the year for us. From April 15th to July 15th was like lights out. It was really epic fishing. And I got to say, this year was incredible. And just we'll get into reflecting on 2024 and the customers and all that stuff. But first, guys are pulling their boats out, wrapping them up, getting them winterized, and getting them ready for next year. And in the springtime, I'll go over all the vessel safety check stuff. So these podcasts that I'm doing now, this is episode number 9, and I wish I was doing it from the boat. I do. But I really like the fact that there's no wind, and I didn't have to worry about wind and a camera and all that stuff. It's, pretty cool. So that the elements do play a role, but I don't think they affected the quality of my podcast. So, being an audio engineer and being able to record good quality was very important to me. But now that it's the wintertime, we're going to be in the studio. And these episodes are going to be geared rolling forward to the springtime to now get you prepared for your boat in the springtime and what we do in the wintertime. Like you can see behind me here, I have the fly tying vise here. So In the wintertime, I'll tie rigs and tie things and get prepared so that April 15th, I'm not doing anything but firing the boat up, turning on the electronics and shooting out and looking at the water temperature and getting myself familiarized a week before of, where they are and what the wind is doing, what the bait is doing. And, that's what the captain's logs are here for. And I keep a pretty detailed record of, every trip and all the days out on the water. And, to me, that's important. And just, builds up that index of knowledge of, what wind, what tide, what moon. And, the 2025 calendar is already on the wall, of the moon phases. I see January 2025 already. And, the on-the-water calendar is here. And that's how ahead I am. The DMV's already sent me the registration for the, renewals and, the slip and the slip contracts and, DEC and all that stuff, that's what this time brings, the closing of the season, and we try to get all that stuff wrapped up, so I'm not worried about it in April, and do it all January, February, and March. See you guys at all the shows. I can't wait to get down south and hit all the shows, but before we do all that, each episode is going to be geared as we move along in the season, because I got to tell you, even though I'm on the Northeast, we do have a lot of people from other countries listening to the podcast. And that's why we're going to educate people and do some fun stuff and some giveaways and give away some merchandise. Like recently I said, you guys want a free sticker? Head on over to sandcitycharter.com. And if you head on over to the contact page, I could actually click on it right here because I'm on the site. And you just fill out the form. Just go down here. It says request a Bay Rats and Buoys podcast sticker right there. Just fill out the form. And where it says type a question, just throw your address in there. I'll be happy to mail one out to you. And speaking of mailing them out, I learned a quick lesson at the post office. I bought padded 6x6. These stickers are 5x5. So I bought 6x6 envelopes, and they were padded. So I'm glad I didn't buy 1,000 of those because that was $5. Frank almost had a heart attack when he saw the mailing label, and it said that I shipped him a $5 to send him the sticker. And I had like 50 of them going out that day. So I sent one to Frank to see what the price would be. And I wasn't going to say no. I sent it out. Frank's left for $5. And then I quickly ordered the paper ones. And those went out a lot cheaper, which was, the cost of a stamp, which was much better, much more economical as far as sending free merchandise out to people. 50 stickers would have been around $250, which wouldn't have been the smartest move in the world. So I'm glad that, Frank, you were my learning lesson, and we've spoke since because you sent me a text message. And got to give a shout-out to Nelson. Nelson shot me a message, and it was an awesome email. I tell you, Nelson, it was really cool. And he said that the cold water and safety precaution episode that I did, which I think was episode 7, should be mandatory, that all boaters have to listen to that. And, where I could say, yes, I agree with you, but, Nelson, it really is just common sense. Half the stuff I spoke about, it's, I'm not preaching out of any captain's, catalog or, the book or, rules of the road or anything. It's really common sense that if that water, you just got to know what temperature is fatal. Below 65 degrees, it's, you start to lose movement in your extremities. And, so a lot of that was just common sense. But I appreciate the kind words. I really do. And the subscribers and the messages. Ed in Massachusetts. And Ed from Massachusetts sent me a really cool message, and he needed a couple of stickers to go out for his daughters. And they're really into fishing. And if anybody knows, I know, if you saw last week's episode, my son was there on the beach when the rods, they went shark. They do. My kids do all types of fishing with me, everything. And even behind me here is my daughter on the cover of the Fisherman magazine. I have another episode here that I can hold up, and the reason I'll show you this is the guys on Facebook. They post pictures, and here she is. She's holding the fish in the net, in the water. So everything here was proper etiquette, and look at what the Cabela's had. I mean, she just looks, she's playing, she's got the role. She's got it down. The rod's in the hand, the fish is in the water. She's so happy. She was out fishing her brother at the time. They wound up with a tie that day that they had 7 fish apiece fly fishing. So they had an epic day, and they always do. And that's to their credit because they're into it. They want to do it. And, they got up at 5 o'clock in the morning to be on the river. And kudos to them because that's, it's tough to get kids to get up and play 5 o'clock to go to any sport that they even love. My son plays hockey, ice hockey. I'm at the rink before he goes to school. And, just getting the kids involved. But like I said, she had the fish in the water. It was the perfect picture. That is why it did make the cover. And that was March of 2023. And she was at the Ward Melville shows, signing autographs of people and just hamming it up. I still get earful when, I'm in the Southern Boating Magazine. I'm in magazines. And she's like, yeah, but you're not on the cover. And she throws that in my face. And my son, she throws it in his face all the time, too. You guys aren't on the cover. Big deal. You're in the magazine. Anybody can get in the magazine, but you're not on the cover. And she's absolutely right. And as far as the etiquette is concerned, of keeping the fish in the water. Want to shout out to the admins in the Facebook group. I really appreciate you guys. And there's a lot of new groups that I'm in. And they're worldwide. So it is, and it's international for a reason because you could hear this podcast in multiple languages. And just because I'm talking from the North Shore of Long Island, which is New York, which is East Coast. People in other countries can still relate. It doesn't have to be about a striped bass or a rainbow trout or, whatever we're catching as far as, the tog right now. And it doesn't matter where you are. Bay Rats and Buoys is going to be a podcast available for people, and the content will be relative for people worldwide because we're going to talk about spearfishing. We're going to talk about shark fishing, all the stuff that we do. We do it a little bit differently in our area than you do it in your area. But at the end of the day, if you're into fishing and boating, that's what this is going to be geared towards and grow. I mean, this is episode number 9. I can't believe I'm not sitting on my boat. I did 8 episodes from my boat. I'm pretty proud of that. One of my buddies at the office, when he saw the first thing, he's like, dude, you're sitting on your boat. I can't believe you're doing it from your boat because he's in the studio with me, all the time doing the radio shows that I produce. And he was excited. He's like, how the hell are you doing it from your boat? And it's just like, he knows I'm an audio engineer. And so this is easy. And so quality for me, it had to have, if you're going to put out a podcast, for me, it was about the quality. And the audio quality had to be good enough, to put it up on Apple Podcast and Amazon and Spotify and YouTube and all the other platforms that we're on. And it's important. And when there's good quality, then it's enjoyable for people to listen to it. And there is also a video version because we have the GoPro going. There's no production crew here. It's me sitting, my captain's quarters where I actually do a little bit editing. And, the hard drives are back here with all the fishing footage on them and whatnot. And I can sit here and do some mobile editing so I don't have to be in the studio and I could, do some work from home. And it's just a simple little captain's quarters type deal. It's not a set. It's just, it's actually where I get some work done. And the podcast is really growing. And I really appreciate all the people that I mention. That when they shoot me cool messages and cool texts, I'm going to try to give shout outs in every episode and talk about it. So I really, appreciate you guys for tuning in, taking the time. If you have buddies that you fish with or you're friends with, you go fishing, shoot them a message and say, hey, yo, check it out. Because it is getting the wheels that we wanted to, the growth. The YouTube channel is growing organically, almost 200 new subscribers a week. So organically, I'm not going to go pay a company to promote it and do it. I'm going to promote it myself and build it up. And that's exactly what's happening. So in another week, we should have 1,000 subscribers on the new YouTube channel, which is the Sand City Charter. And I'm super excited about where it's going and the feedback that I'm getting about it. So it makes me want to keep producing and doing a better job and collaborating with people. And the shows down south, February 12th to the 16th, the Miami International Boat Show, will be there. I can't wait to go to ICAST for the first time. That's not until July, so I can't wait. We have all these trips already planned out and on the calendar, so we know when we're going and what we're doing. The Jacob Javits Boat Show, we look forward to that every year, and hopefully Bay Rats and Buoys will be there this year. If we don't get there, we're going to be there walking around anyway, so we'll see. We're going to try to collaborate with a couple of people and do some cool stuff, so can't wait to launch and promote that stuff in the wintertime. But each episode, as we grow towards the springtime, we're going to get back into fishing, and in the wintertime, I'm going to be able to tell you the stories like last week's shark fishing. I showed you a little clip in the B-roll of my son on the rod as he was manning the rod on the chair there when the shark took off with the bait. And, we brought in like a 6 or a 7 foot, sandbar shark and, or a brown or, one of those local Long Island sharks. It wasn't a sand tiger, that one. That one wasn't gigantic, but wait till I show you some of the shark podcast is going to be epic because it's going to entail so many different things. I got opened up by a cow-nose stingray. I got the injuries to show you, the 12 staples in my leg, the blood dripping down the leg, and never once got injured by a shark. Here I was shark fishing, and I got injured by a cow-nose stingray, and I can't wait to explain how that all happened, and I'll do that in the shark episode. So we do have a lot of things to look forward to. There are so many great episodes, and it's planning them all out, which is, for me, it's a lot of fun. Now that the boat, not getting anybody down to the boat and timing it with my schedule, now that I won't be running charters after mid-December, my schedule frees up a little bit, and getting people into the studio, you don't have to worry about the weather. I don't have to worry about the wind. It's blowing 35. We can't record on the boat today, which has happened, and so that made it a little difficult. Or the day that Derek came down, it just got super busy, and there was no way I was recording Derek on the boat. He totally understood. And, he's the captain of the King's Pointer. He knows what this is all about, working as a captain. Get busy at times. So, reflecting back on 2024, the actual fishing charter season, it's one for the books. It really is. And I got to say, it's got to be a credit to, me and Corey being a well-oiled machine as far as, being prepared. Because there's a lot of preparation that goes into it, just like there's preparation for, sitting down here and doing the podcast and plugging the mic in and the memory cards and the batteries and the things, little things. But when it comes to charter, having all the gear ready, having the boat and everything's ready to go and in good working order and clean. So all that is like that's the base. That's where we start. Then it's the people jump on the boat and we got to go out and have a good time. And, people get on a boat. They're excited. They, especially if they're, a lot of guys that came out with us own boats, whether they still have a boat, they came out to learn, or they used to have a boat and they were excited to get out there. But this year just happened to be one of those epic years, and it started on day one, April 15th. Jason and his family came out, and he booked it in the wintertime. And the reason I bring that up is because April 15th to, I want to say July 15th, the fishing was lights out. And April 15th to June 15th books up really, really fast. And I'm talking, every day during the week. It gets real busy, real fast starting because the fish are here. And people want to go catch them, and they're itching to get out there. And it turns 50 degrees in the springtime, and we all want to get out there and be outdoors. We're all tired of being cooped up in the wintertime. So this year really started strong on April 15th. And I told you already, we went out into the bay. We saw a seal. We turned around and came, back in. So again, I have my charts here. I have the wind. I have the weather. I have the moon. I have all these things that I'm calculating in my mind and coming up with a game plan. That morning, we get down to the boat. I'm not going, I wonder where we're going to go today. No, I got my game plan. I know where I want to go, what I want to do, and look for where I'm going to look for the fish. And that's my job, is to go find the bait, find the fish. And if you're successful at doing that, you give yourself a better chance of catching the fish, because there's no saying that you put people on fish that they're going to catch them. I had a lot of people that didn't know what they were doing, drop fish. But it was nice. Jason and his family all caught, bass, keepers, overs, and it was day one. And I was 15 minutes from my slip. And a lot of times in the beginning of the season, my game plan, like April 7th, let's say I uncovered the boat March 30th of last year. And April 7th, we're in the water. Boat's in the water. And we're going to make our first run. And a lot of times I'll head west. And I'll go way west and check out some of the harbors to see the size of the fish and see what's going on. And for the past 2 years, I have not had to leave my bay. The fish are here. And they're of size, too. I mean, 2 years ago, it was insanity on April 16th. I could show you the screen here because people won't believe me. And the pictures of the sonar. I mean, you thought it was in demo mode. And every fish that was under the boat was 30 pounds. There wasn't anything smaller than 30 pounds. And when I tell you, I have no problem telling people what I saw and why I went to where I went when I got to that pile of fish. A lot of times you'll see birds sitting in the water. And just because they're not flying around and working, that's still, to me, a sign that they're sitting there because they know. They're waiting for the fish that are down low to push up the bait. And they're there for a reason. They didn't just pick that spot because the water's warmer over there. They picked that spot because they know the fish are there. And that has been a telltale sign to me for years, is to go over the birds that are sitting in the water. And we have some funny phrases on the boat, that we've, coined over the years of, calling them, non-working birds in so many words. And it's helped us get on fish every year. And so I'm going to tell you now, if you see birds sitting in the water, head on over, check it out. What's the worst that could happen? Nothing pops up on your sonar, big deal. What's the best that could happen? You come across a pile of fish like I did here in this video. I mean, they were thumping, 30-pound fish were thumping on the deck while 2 other rods were bent over. We're getting the fish off the hooks. I'm throwing them back in the water. We're not even worried about taking pictures with these fish. Everything isn't over. It's got to go back. The minute we got it off, and we were doing flutter spoons at the time, it just happened to be the new fad for us in the area here. I mean, for the past 3 years, everybody was flutter spooning, and you could see everybody out there, lifting the rod and working the flutter spoon. Nobody was using diamond jigs, and I can't say that. There's guys out there that, still putting bunker down and using diamond jigs, and all of these are good methods. I love all the different methods, but we were all addicted to this new. In fact, Kenny, he's in the video on the homepage, and some of you may know Kenny. He worked at Field and Stream. He worked at Dick's on 110. So, a lot of people know Kenny, and he's on my boat all springtime. I mean, springtime you can't get. He just wants to get on the bass, and in the fall he's on the tog. He likes to get out there on the commercial boats and on the party boats and get out and Montauk and fish real hard. You're gonna see him in an orange sweatshirt here on the screen. I don't even have to put up the B-roll. It's right here playing on the screen. If you see it, you see it. So we had 2 gold flutter spoons go down, and the hookup was instantaneous. You could have put a sneaker down with a hook on. You would have caught a 30-pound bass, 100%. They were so stacked up, it was incredible. And Kenny had a silver flutter spoon on, and he wasn't hooked up as fast. And I was telling him, "Yo, grab the camera, just to hold the camera." I mean, me and Corey have light setups on. We're bent over. I had a heavier setup than Corey's light setup. And my rod was getting taken onto the boat on a heavier setup with like a BG 5000 on. And this fish was taking me for he was going to turn the boat into a sled. And, I thought I was on an easy 45 pounder. Easy. This was a strong 30-something pound fish. And Kenny's screaming, what color you guys got on? What color is that? We're yelling gold. We got gold on. He put a gold one on, and boom. So sometimes that does make a difference, which is why we will try multiple colors. Every flutter spoon known to mankind, color-wise. And now I even have different versions. And, thanks to John Gaudio, the Savages, I had posted a video that I was using a certain brand that was sold in my local area, and he said All Pro. And so when I was at the most recent fishing show, I stopped at the All Pro booth, and I always support local businesses. That's just anybody that knows me. If you go to the site, you'll see logos on the homepage. You scroll down here, you're going to see logos of local companies, and I support local businesses and like to keep giving those mama and papa shops the business, because God only knows Amazon doesn't need my business. And so that was April 16th of last year, and the Flutter Spoons were insane. So we were hoping this year it was going to be you're looking for get on that same body of fish, because it was an hour of lights out fishing. It was the best. It was definitely the best fishing ever. I have never had anything even close to that. And we've had trips where it's nonstop action, where, Dean and James came out and, excuse me, there's Kenny there in the yellow shirt. And the Flutter Spoons were killing it, and guys that had never Flutter Spoon before were hooking up, which is cool because you can drop a fish easily. My son outfished Corey and Kenny, 12 years old, with a Flutter Spoon. I actually had to help him hold the rod because it was a light Type J jigging rod, Talavera, and it was getting bent in half, pulled under the boat. He was on a real bass, and it was nice to see a 12-year-old being able to retrieve the Flutter Spoon, hook up, set the hook, and handle the fish. So it was kind of cool. And he got rewarded. They all told him, that was awesome, epic. And I've had adults on the boat that dropped the fish, and it happens. That's what's cool about the Flutter Spoon. It really is. It depends on how they take it. We've learned a few tricks over the years, some spinning swivels and the hooks to spin and keep it from, so the hook set is a little easier, and putting a teaser hook up, 12 inches above the Flutter Spoon. So there's little things we've learned over the years to kind of customize them and, make it a little bit better. Because when you're running a charter, you want people to hook up, and, you don't want to make it harder. And there's nothing cooler than, feeling it go light and then all of a sudden come tight, and, all of a sudden you're reeling it in and you don't feel anything. You're like, what the hell happened to the Flutter Spoon? And then boom, the rod just bends in half and is in a, big bass on it. So that's the excitement level. But that was this year, the beginning, April 16th, 2 years ago. The trip was insane, the Flutter Spoons. And let's reflect back on 2024, because some of the trips, Steve brought his neighbor and their two sons out. And right now they got the Sand City Charter Cup. They won. They get their name on. I gotta make the trophy. That's what I'm gonna do in December. I'm gonna have that trophy made for the Sand City Cup, and anybody that catches the biggest fish on my boat, your name is going on the cup. They caught a 48-inch bass. I believe the weight was 47.6, and we have a real scale on the boat. I'm not going by a boga. All right. First of all, I don't like holding the fish vertically ever. Not for a photograph, not ever. There's no reason to pick a striped bass up vertically. We support the weight and do it with wet hands and put them on the scale and lay them flat. There's measuring, and it's all done. Boom, boom, boom. 1, 2, 3, boom. And we'll talk more about that. I'm going to have a whole podcast about the 9% discard mortality rate, and it was a video I even had done with Captain Jimmy, the James Joseph, years ago at Cow Harbor with Mark. And, this is when the circle hooks really became implemented. And we're going to have a whole episode on the catch and release etiquette and what you should be doing. And we'll probably do that one more into March as we get closer to the season, just like when I'll do the vessel safety inspection, the vessel safety check, the whole checklist of, depending on what size vessel you have, the different requirements and the stuff that you're required to have on and things that are recommended to have on. Like a VHF radio is a recommendation. It's not mandatory. So we're going to go over we'll do that as we get closer to the springtime. No reason to talk about that now. And, rules of the road and etiquette, things like that as we get closer to putting the boat back in the water, we're going to get more into the boating aspect. And now in the wintertime, we're going to get into the gear that we use and, how we change it up in different colors and all the different techniques that we do to catch fish, because we're very successful at it. And I got to say, this year was an epic year. An amazing fall run, amazing start at April 15th. So from April 15th until the end of the year, I got to honestly say there may have been 2 or 3 trips that we didn't catch fish at all the charters. And Scott will attest to it. He took his dad out weeks after he took, him and his buddy, Matt. Scott took Matt and Jera out, and they had an epic trip. And that's what I'm talking about. These, reflecting back on 2024, we met so many cool people and made so many friends and had stories about this one. He's calling somebody that I'm good friends with on that. It was just at a house party with a week ago, and it's his best friend, so it's like the 6 degrees of separation of all of us, just recently having Keith on the boat, Northport alumni, and Robbie Holden, somebody I went to, it was in my first grade class, and he took his father out, and his father caught his first striped bass on my boat. So here's a guy that was in the Coast Guard, fished, and never caught a striped bass. And so he came on my boat, and he caught his first striped bass on Father's Day. It was Father's Day weekend. I think it may have been the Saturday before Father's Day Sunday. And there were so many people this year that caught their first striped bass on my boat. And there's something to say for that as far as the excitement level of putting somebody on their first bass. And, anybody that's been on my boat knows that I take it serious. Like, I don't give up looking. I don't care where I got to go, what I got to do. When it comes to putting in the effort, I put in 200%, not even 100%. And anybody that's been on the boat knows, I think they can tell you that on your own. They don't need me to say it for myself. We put in a serious effort, me and Corey. And, having a great first mate, it helps, because when I want to change up tactics, it's, he's already reading my mind. When I tell him to take that off and put that color on and do that, we already had it out. We're ready for it. And, it's just, how prepared we are. And that is attributed to what we do in the wintertime and how prepared we get now for April. And April 15th, that's it. We don't got to do stuff. I don't got to buy things. I don't need anything. I got it all winter. I stocked up. I'm good to go. And I like to buy in bulk, too. And again, local. I go to all the fishing shows, and I like to support the local guys and buy stuff in bulk. But back to reflecting on the Sand City Cup and the 48-inch fish that was 47.6. Then you had Corbin and Locke. So Corbin brought his son Corby, so Corbin Jr., Corby, and Locke, and they got on a 40-inch bass. And they were 9 and 10 years old. So for a 9 and 10-year-old kid to reel in a 40-inch bass, it was a fish of a lifetime. And again, I got the B-roll going. I can throw the B-roll up here on the podcast. I'm super excited about doing that. I can do a little more editing now, guys, because again, this is unscripted. This is raw. There's no teleprompter here. There's nothing. It's a GoPro microphone, and I record a podcast, and it's that simple. So I'm happy to put the B-roll into it like I started doing last week, and I hope you were able to see it. I hope you're able to enjoy it a little bit, and I'll put more and more B-roll into it as we grow and move along. And obviously when I have guests on, we'll probably be doing multiple camera shoots and whatnot. So it's going to get a little more intricate as we grow the podcast, and I'm super excited about that. It is growing, and thanks to you guys. So we were just talking about Corby and Locke. 40-inch fish, 9 years old. Then you got the second biggest fish on the boat was a 44-inch bass on top water action. And all of this was caught on GoPro, which is really cool, guys. So when I take people out, and they're like, Gage, how come you aren't fishing? And I'm like, because I want you guys to catch fish. I don't need to catch fish. I get more enjoyment out of videotaping your reaction, you getting the fish, you hooking up, you high-fiving and screaming. I mean, some of the audio clips are absolutely priceless. And speaking of audio clips, Eric, captain of the Why Not, captain and owner of the Why Not at Huntington Yacht Club. Eric, I have a video I am going to post. I gotta say, it's probably gonna go viral. To me, if I had to predict any video to go viral, it was you coming back from the great Captain Island Reef in Connecticut. That day that we spent over there. And you wanted me to floor the boat and drive it back 55 miles an hour across the sound. And I handed you the GoPro. That video is epic. It really is. And you are hysterical, and it really is a good video. The quality of it is fantastic. And it was all done on the GoPro. So again, I just like having the drone, the GoPro. The other day I said to Corey, I said, I just want to film the birds. You throw out, you catch bass, I don't care. It was after a charter. We went back out, and I said, I just want to get some good video footage of the birds working. I was hoping to get more visuals of the bass and the boils, which didn't happen until the next day. And that's how much a day could change being out there. And so when we're out there every day, we really learned that, what today brings has nothing to do with tomorrow and vice versa. And that's what makes fishing so exciting, especially for me. I just love getting out there and knowing that, today it's flat calm. Fishing could stink because it's flat calm. Flat calm doesn't mean it's going to be great. It just means that we could go further faster and, it's just a more enjoyable ride. But I got to tell you, on the rougher days, like the Saturday of Father's Day that I just talked about, Robbie Holden, it was, 3-foot chop in the sound. And we had an epic day. We had a great day catching bass. And those rougher days, I find that the bite is on. And I've had days where I get out there with guys and it's rough out there and we don't catch any fish. And the birds are everywhere. And that's because there was a hatch. And the birds are, feeding on bait. And there's no fish pushing them up. And we go into the back because 3-4 footers in the sound. It doesn't make for a fun charter for guys. And so we'll shoot into a back bay somewhere. And then it's like paradise back there. And they still caught a bass. But again, so fishing, that's what makes every day different out there. And that's what I love about it. And that's what the captain's log, keeping all that detailed information about the moon, the tide, and when the bite was hot. And, what was the barometric pressure, was it rising, was it falling, was it stable? It's like all those things really do play a role in catching fish. And so when you got a grasp on that, then it's getting out there. It's, I like to say, find the bait, you're going to find the fish. So we got pretty good at that. And that makes for a fun trip every time for us because now we're worried about what music we're playing. We asked the guests, listen, we have Pandora, we got XM satellite radio, so whatever you want to listen to, whether it's, country music and Zach Brown and Kenny Chesney, or you want to hear the hip-hop classic channel on Pandora, or whatever you want to hear. We had one funny instance this year with a family on the boat, and it was an awesome, awesome family trip. They had heard about 4 kids went out and caught over 250 fish on my boat the week prior, and they saw that video. And they said, we just want to do that. And they got out there and they had an epic, they were in the hundreds. They had gotten over 100 fish. And they got so many fish, they lost count. But it was all the different species that they got, which was what made it so cool. And they asked for, at some point during the charter, they asked for Taylor Swift. And man, do I got to tell you, there was a point where it must have been like 3 or 4 songs in a row had come on. And it was the slowest, most depressing music that we were just yawning. I looked at Corey, I'm like, oh my God. All right, we're going back to, one of the sons wanted Eminem. So I was like, all right, we're going back to Eminem. And we put on Eminem and, it just, changed, so it's funny moments like that you pick up on being on a boat with people all the time. You're trying to make everybody happy. And, I was in the entertainment industry for, 2.5 decades. And so music is my thing. And when people get on the boat, I ask them, hey, what do you want to listen to? We'll be happy to put it on. And Matt, Jarrett, and Scott, that was another epic reason that trip turned out to be so fun. Just getting musical requests. We knew we were hooking up. We were catching so many fish that day that we were playing songs as they hooked up. We had a song queued up to put on. That's how incredible the fishing was. And we were making it that much more fun with the song we were putting on. And there was some embarrassing requests that came out. You know, one guy, you know, he liked Barry Manilow, you know, unadmittingly. And, you know, we wanted to play Mandy. And, oh, my God. Or, you know, and it was just too funny. That's all I got to say is there were some fun times, and the music created that, and the fishing was great. So looking back on all the different trips, Anton Jr., they came out. They brought a magnet fishing kit on the boat, and we wanted to go do some magnet fishing because Anton Jr., you know, 7, 8 years old, wanted to go try this magnet fishing. So we took him over to where there's moorings and where people hang out and drop things all summer long and see if he can hook up to any sunglasses or anything. He didn't catch anything in like 10 minutes. I think Dad was more tired of throwing this heavy magnet out. He only threw it out like 5 or 6 times. And, you know, Anton came back on 3 trips. The kid caught a ton of fish. And he wanted to release everything. He's really into the conservation of it and catching them and getting different species. So it was really cool when he caught his first sea robin because that was a cool fish to him. You know, it's got wings and it, you know, makes a noise. And, you know, it's seeing kids like that at an early age getting into this and introducing them to it in the right way and making it a fun time. I'll let them drive the boat. I let them have fun and teaching them. And I love that about chartering. I really do. To me, there's nothing greater than passing this down to younger kids. My son's 12. He can't wait till he's 14 and, you know, can take the boat safety course and register a boat and have his own whaler and get out there. And he's already learning how to drive my boat. He could do everything. He could drive my boat back from the Sound and get me into the harbor, get me into the marina, and he just needs to work on docking. And if I work on docking with him for the next month or two, you know, come the springtime, I 100% would trust him to bring it back and dock the boat. And other captains, you know, Captain Jimmy on the big boat yelled to him, and I love the flag, and, you know, you're going to make a great captain. You know, he's driving the boat. He's watching him drive it into the harbor. And he passed us, in fact. We stayed to the right. He stayed to the right and let other boats pass him. He didn't care. He was going 4.5 knots. He was happy. And that's what it's all about for me. So getting the kids on the boat and the parents that came out that, you know, took kids out and caught 250 fish and said all that stuff. So it's a lot of fun. And we have so many things to reminisce about. And for 2024, it was just a great year. It really was. I could probably go on and talk about 2024 for, you know, an hour and a half. And I tried to make this episode a little bit shorter. And it's 47 minutes right now. So we're going to bring this episode to a close. And we got tog fishing until December 9th for the Long Island Sound region. You got it until the 22nd for the New York Bight region. And the striped bass ends December 15th. So there's a good chance mid-December, December 15th, it's a good time to take the boat out. That's when I did it last year. I winterized the engine December 16th. So I'm probably going to do the same exact thing this year. And looking to get down to the boat shows and looking forward to seeing everybody at the fishing shows here on Long Island. And because, you know, we're going to miss seeing everybody at the marina. You know, I see Chris and Big Joe and everybody, you know, everybody that we see at the marina. We have a blast. Christian, I mean, look, I'm sitting in my house, Christian. You can't wake me today. You know, I'm only throwing that in at the 47th minute here, so he might not hear it. I doubt he's going to listen to the whole podcast. But last week, sitting on my boat in the marina, Christian threw a nice wake, and you saw my boat bouncing around in the marina. And he even commented on Facebook and said, I didn't even realize I was throwing a wake until he saw the video and saw the boats in the marina bouncing around. So happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Enjoy Thanksgiving Day. I really hope you guys get to enjoy some time with the family this holiday season. That is what it's all about. I'm super excited to spend a lot more time with the kids. This past weekend, I spent it on the ice rink, so it was exciting to get out there. We had some, you know, weather and some wind and whatnot, so it's good to spend some time with the kids and do some different stuff. And I want you guys to hit that subscribe button on the YouTube channel. That thing's growing organically. 200 subscribers a week we're getting up to. So it's almost at 1,000 subscribers now, which is good for a brand new channel. Super excited about that. That thing will grow just like the podcast is, getting over 250, 300 downloads a week and growing at that level on all different platforms. So it's really, if I added all the numbers up, I'd have some, and we're in different countries, which is what's really, really cool. And another shout out to all the Facebook admins. I really appreciate the ones that approve the fishing report, and now followed by Bay Rats and Buoys, the podcast. I will separate the two. All right. So I'll continue to do the fishing report, and I'm going to make the Bay Rats and Buoys, the podcast, a second video to get out there and promote it separately. So stay tuned in for that, and looking forward to, this was episode number 9. So I guess the next episode will be in the studio. That'll be episode 10 coming up. That'll be with me and my first mate, Corey. And I can't wait for you guys to see Chef Rob Christmas time. He'll be in town, and we'll get him on. Still got to get Captain Derek into the studio now that we didn't get him on the boat. It'll be a lot easier to schedule people now to get them on the show and get some guests on and have a lot of fun and show you guys. At Bay Rats and Buoys is going to be a good time. We're going to have some fun. So wishing everybody a happy Thanksgiving. Wishing everybody bent rods, tight lines, and I will see you out on the water.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Bay Rats and Buoys. Be sure to visit sandcitycharter.com and follow Captain Gage on all our social media channels.